everybody. This is Kendéll Lenice, and welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Kendéll Lenice Live. I'm so glad you're here. This is the panel edition. Y'all know that I do one-on-one interviews with people that you may recognize, people you never heard of, and people that are just like you. I'm so excited to have this episode today. It's near and dear to my heart. We're going to be talking about alopecia and living with alopecia. And of course, we have queens that celebrate alopecia and they're rocking their heads bald. And, people like India.Arie, I am not my hair, I'm the soul that lies within. We know this to be true, that hair doesn't make you or break you. But if you're used to having hair and you don't have hair anymore, or your hair is falling out and you're experiencing hair loss rapidly, you don't understand sometimes emotionally what's going on. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to educate you during this show, and I'm going to introduce you to some amazing alopecia queens because this is September and it's Alopecia Awareness Month. Now, a lot of people, the people that are close to me know, but a lot of people don't know that I have alopecia. I've had it for years, right at the top of my head. And a lot of times that's where it starts. And it's been an emotional journey for me over the years. Sometimes more than others. Sometimes I'm embracing it and, it is what it is. And then sometimes it's like, dang, I remember. But the one thing about alopecia is, I don't want to say this, you're losing hair. And if that's the worst thing that you can lose, because I still have all my limbs, they're working just fine. So if I'm able to still have that, then, we can move forward to another day. I'm not saying that it doesn't sometimes affect me or others emotionally, because I would be lying if I said it did not. But I just want to share that with you about me. But the show I'm just really passionate about this subject because now we have people talking about it. And that's how we have to continue and push forward conversations to allow people to feel that they are not alone in any situation. You guys know my channel is all about education, elevation, and entertainment. And it's also about remixing the narrative in the Black community. All right. So up first, I'm so excited. I reached out to some beautiful alopecia queens and they have responded. So I'm going to bring a couple on now and one will be joining us momentarily. Let's see, 1 second. All right. So first up, we have B. Now, let me just tell you a little bit about Miss B over here. All right. She is also known as Cute Ball Chick on Instagram. She resides in Texas with her 4 children and husband. She works as the event coordinator, when she is not advocating for alopecia. She is a support group leader through National Arietta Foundation for the Southwest region. She has had alopecia for 30 years with her first onset at the age of 11. Let's welcome B to Kendéll Lenice Live.
Hey, I'm so glad to be here. I'm so glad we're living boldly about alopecia now. How you doing?
Absolutely. How are you? I'm doing great. Seeing your face looking beautiful, because I always say alopecia queens, and I know, and I've been saying that, and I see it all over, and I'm looking at you and you look like a queen right now. I love head wraps, always have, even before alopecia. So to see you on with it, I'm excited to see you.
Thank you so
Tell me
much.
why you decided. You're welcome. Tell me why you decided to be a part of this show. When I reached out to you, you responded, and now you're here.
I've been living boldly for alopecia for about 2 to 3 years now. I came out in 2020. I've had it for alopecia for over 30 years, but I've been living boldly in my purpose for only 3 years. I just decided, when you said earlier, I have the activity in my limbs and everything, I just don't have hair. That's basically how I think of it. Like, you know, um, I have so much to be thankful for. Just don't have hair. It's not that big of a deal. So I'm proud to spread
Yeah.
awareness about alopecia. I'm so glad that we are boldly talking about it. This wasn't such a thing, 10, 15, 20 years ago when I was a
Mm-hmm.
teenager or a child when I had it. So I'm so glad to advocate for it and to help anyone that has it or is struggling with it.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that you're here. I just want to talk about, because I know Sandy before the show, she was talking about this. I want to know, so at 11 years old, when you started losing your hair, what was that like? Do you remember back to that particular space and time?
Yes, it was actually a very hard time for me. They said it came on because my father died at the age of 11, and we moved from
Mm.
one state to another, and the doctor says, it was stress. So I had like a big bald spot right in the middle of my head, and I was 11 years old. I was, a child. I was scared, of course, but I was happy to cover it up. I didn't know what alopecia was at the time. At that time, it wasn't as
Mm-hmm.
severe as it is now. So I was just able to cover it up. At that time, it wasn't that big of a deal because it came and it went, just like that. Actually, I think within a couple months it
Yeah,
grew back.
yeah. A- And I want to talk about that too. We're going to talk about that when I bring the other ladies on. But
Mhm.
people don't understand, because of stress, sometimes it can fall out even at more rapid pace. They think that alopecia and hair loss may not be cousins. They think, well, if you have stress and you're losing hair, then that's just isolated. But it still is a
Right.
form of alopecia. Even if a woman loses her edges, that's traction alopecia from, from stress or wigs or whatever it is.
Mhm.
um and then that hair that doesn't grow back, we're going to talk about that. I just want to um explain what alopecia is sudden hair loss that starts with one or more circular bald patches that may overlap. Alopecia occurs when the immune system follicles and may be brought on by a severe stress. So, and then we get into different types, but people don't understand that stressors in your life can cause alopecia. People think it's one thing or another.
Mhm.
All right. So next up, I have. Did you want to say something to that? I'm sorry.
No, I was actually just agreeing with you because my hair, well, it came out for the first time at 11, and it grew back throughout my teenage years. I had my first child at 20. My hair came all the way out, and then it grew back. So I
Mm,
have 4 children. So that happens like each time I had a child, my hair would grow back and then it'll come out
mhm.
and grow back and come out. So
Wow.
now it's not coming back. Like it's like, I'm done. I'm over it. I start taking the medication, Illumine, actually. So I have
Yeah.
a little peach fuzz up here, but yeah, it's nothing.
Yeah. And I'm going to bring, before I bring on Sandy, I want to talk about Jada Pinkett Smith quickly, and then we can
Okay.
talk about it when everyone comes. I love Jada. Jada's getting a bad rap. We already know why. La, la, la. We're not talking about that. But when she came out and said said she had alopecia about it. She talked about her hair coming out, and it's
Mm-hmm.
so amazing how people will diminish a woman based upon, like, they don't know how to isolate certain situations. And then
Yeah.
now her hair is growing back. You just talked about you have an alopecia and your hair grew back. And there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
different things that will allow your hair to grow back in some spaces, depending on how um, deep you're in with alopecia. And then
Exactly.
I've seen comments of people say, well, she didn't really have alopecia, because if you have alopecia, your hair doesn't grow back. So I'm so glad
You
that
know.
you said that. I'm so glad,
Yes.
because I
Yes.
feel like a one-man band fighting for Jada sometimes, because I understand, you
You're not
know?
alone. Mhm.
Uh,
I grew back to, like, a full head of
yes.
hair, then it'll come
All right,
out, and
Miss
then come
Sandey
back, so
Greene. Yeah. So I'm glad that you said that. All right, Miss
yeah.
Sandey Greene, she is coming up next. She was born in Newark, New Jersey, resides in Birmingham, Alabama. She is an advocate all the way around, even for Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. Um, Her 20-year-old son, uh, Mr. Ron Cortez White, Rodriguez, I'm sorry, Cortez White, was hit and killed by a drunk driver on 2009. I'm sorry. Ooh. Miss Greene is the founder and president of organization in remembrance of her son called Righteous Overpowers Negativity, which is abbreviation for Ron. Um, on I'm not sure. And it was about her journey living with alopecia. She has also made goal is to educate as many. She's also going to share some great news with us, and I'll allow her to do that at the end of the show. But welcome, Sandey, to the show.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, Sandy, can you see me?
I can.
How you doing?
I'm awesome. How are you?
I'm good, I'm good.
Yeah, I see she went out. Now,
Mhm.
yeah,
I think she's coming back.
okay. We took you from the top and brought you to the bottom.
Mm.
Hello, I'm not sure what happened. Are you there,
Yes,
Yes,
ladies?
yes, we
yes, we
see.
are.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not sure what happened. Uh, Um, sometimes when you're live, anything can happen, but we're still going to continue. So, Sandey,
Yes. Hello.
Welcome. Hi,
Thank
I'm not
you.
sure what's happening. How are you?
I'm awesome. How are you?
So what I am well. So tell me when you found out about the show and being a part of the show, what made you say yes to talking about your journey?
Anytime I have the opportunity to talk about my journey, I'm always open for it because it was a point in time when I wasn't educated. I knew I had alopecia, but I wasn't educated. And I want to just stop the stereotype about alopecia.
Yeah. And what was that stereotype that you knew of?
A lot of people thought that everyone with alopecia is bald, and that's so untrue. There's people that, because I wasn't always bald.
Mm-hmm.
People think as soon as you find out you have alopecia, you're gonna, your hair gonna fall out. That's not always true. It took my
Mm-hmm.
hair over 20 years to really start falling out.
And that you're absolutely right, because even with me, I'm able to do certain styles and certain things. People are like, well, I can't tell you have alopecia. Think that means you're completely bald,
Right.
but you are in certain areas. And anybody out there with alopecia can tell you, you guys know, we know how to camouflage it if we
Yeah.
have to. We if we've lived with it and we see it, we know how to do different things so it doesn't show until we're ready for it to show. Can anyone speak on that?
Yeah, that's true. For me, I wore wigs, weaves, braids, whatever I had to do to cover up the fact that I was going bald because I didn't want anyone to know my secret. I wasn't willing to share with anyone. And so I did all these different things that it didn't make the process better. It actually made it worse.
Talk about that.
For me, wearing the wigs and weaves, it would irritate my scalp even the more. The braids was pulling the little hair that I had, it was pulling it literally out. And so it made the situation worse for me. Then, I was stressing because I had my mom, my son, and my husband had died within 3 years. So that stress, like, just tore my body up. And then living life, and I had other
Yeah.
children.
And
I began to have grandchildren. So it was a lot on me at one time.
I understand.
and that's what B and I were speaking about with stress. People don't understand that stress affects so many parts of our being, our bodies, and alopecia a lot of times is stemmed from stress. B was
Yes.
talking about her stress. You were speaking of yours, with mine as well, because I noticed it coming out more rapidly
Mm-hmm.
during stressful, and the last few years I have been dealing with a lot of stress, and I can see the change in it, if I take pictures or if I see certain things. And then it's really, I want to talk about the emotional side
Ooh.
effects of alopecia, and either one of you can speak on that.
The emotional side for me is when my hair started to finally, really come out and shed. I was depressed. I had to
Go
go
ahead.
see a
Mhm.
doctor. I was on medication. I was suicidal because I was living a lie of having hair, and I wasn't. My hair was coming out. And when my son passed, my hair shedded when my husband and my mom passed. But when my son passed, my hair really, really started to shed. So I was not only grieving, I was going through different emotions. My body was just tearing up. I felt like I wanted to die because I didn't want the world to know that I didn't have hair. And now I'm freely doing it.
Congratulations. I would say the same for me. It's been an emotional roller
Yes,
coaster.
congratulations.
Thank you.
You want to talk about that a little bit? And I know if you're watching live, I'm not sure if it's freezing. I'm not sure. I have full internet and it's showing, so I'm not sure what's going. Um B, can you understand what Sandey is talking about when it comes to that emotional piece of alopecia?
Yeah, it was a tad bit of an emotional roller coaster. Of course, it's such a, I would say, pressure. You have to look a certain way, especially as when you're young. You need your hair is your glory. So I spent a lot of money on wigs and braids when I was younger, just trying to keep up. So, but in the background, it wasn't me. So it was like I was putting on a facade for the world, and that hurt me a little bit. Um, but yeah, it was an emotional roller coaster. Just last week, I think it's kind of off topic, but not really. Um, I was at a store and I was at Costco. I used my Costco card, and on my Costco card, I'm bald. But when I went to the store, I had hair. And the lady looked at the card and she says, "Is he here?" She points to the card. And I'm like, "Is who here?" And she was like, "The man in this picture." And I was like, "Oh, the man?" Because the
Oh
person in the
my
picture is,
God.
oh my goodness. And
Oh,
I didn't, I have never been mistaken for a man before just because I was bald. Like women can't be bald. I went back to my car. I cried for a second. Now I'm like, I'm going to go talk to her manager. So I went back and I couldn't hardly even speak because I was in so many emotions and tears. I was like breaking down, I would say publicly for the first time ever, letting this girl know that, I have alopecia and she should, correct her customer service. And not only men can be bald, women can be bald too. And we're bald and beautiful. And oh my goodness. But that just happened last week.
oh my goodness.
Wow. That right
Yes.
there, and people don't understand, like before they speak, before they it's so interesting because even now, you said it just happened. Even now, we see bald women all the time. Bald
Mm-hmm.
women like we've never seen bald women before. And clearly your face is still the same. Your eyes are still the same, your nose, your
Mm-hmm.
mouth. You get what I'm
Yes.
saying? But I think
Mm-hmm.
people, whoo, I feel for you. I seen Sandy. Sandy, you feel for her too with that because it's so painful. Because it's like, talk about that for a minute, Sandy, because I see you
I,
shaking your head.
because
And
it
then we're
just
going to
makes
bring
me,
Staci on.
it really makes me emotional because it brings back for me because I work in the school system and I just started this particular school in March of this year. And coming back to this school year, I didn't have a wrap on, which sometimes I do because the school is so cold. But I have to be me. So I was walking down the hall, and several of the kids was laughing and pointing and talking about me, and it almost brought me to my knees. I know it was the grace of God that kept me up because I thought I was over that, and I wasn't. So when we had this month, the school I work at, we celebrated almost every single day, and I educated the children about alopecia. But one thing I told them, I blame myself because I never did tell you guys what I was going through, what alopecia was, and I let them know that's a form of bullying. But from this day forward, I'm going to turn you in to the principal because what if it was Coda, my little niece that's 5? I'm telling you, it just when she was talking, it just brought back so many memories because not only adults do it, kids too. But now those kids make me pictures of bald ladies. They always telling me they love me, they embracing me because I did not take out the time to educate them at first. So they didn't know. All they knew, they said a bald lady. Some said I had cancer.
And
They
it's
did
just
not know. But now, oh, the love is just so unconditional. I love going to work. Yes, it's awesome. But it hurts, because we can't help the way we are. But I can say one thing. I'm glad that alopecia chose me, because it allowed me to live my truth. It allowed some things to come out of me that was hidden. Because like now, I have 2 alopecia walks. I do three groups. I have a sorority. I'm in a movie, and my character plays alopecia. God is working in my life, and had it not been for alopecia, I wouldn't be where I am today. So I thank alopecia for choosing me.
Praise him.
yeah.
Ooh, I'm just still emotional, girl. You don't tore me up. That messed me up. Well, we got to breathe. Alopecia is something that you can't play with. Some people might look at us like, how can you do that? I don't have a choice.
When you said God chose you, it's about walking your purpose. When you walk in your purpose, it's a different walk. It's we have a different mindset than the regular
Ooh,
people, because we're not for for the people. We're for God.
yes,
So you're walking
yes.
for your purpose, and it's different, and no one will understand it. They can't understand it.
Because sometimes I don't, because I think about my life and where I am now versus where I've been. I never thought I would be here. I never thought God would give me an alopecia group that's called Don't Stare, Just
Mhm,
Ask.
mhm.
#alopecia. And that Don't Stare, Just Ask, when somebody see, they say, what does that mean? Exactly what it says.
Don't stare down.
Don't stare. Just
Mhm,
ask me. Come up. Everybody is not like that.
mhm,
But just ask me a question instead of staring at me, making me uncomfortable, because
mhm.
then I'm going to be in that defensive mode.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes, exactly. It's a different kind of boldness.
Yeah, it is. And when God is with you and you know that God has placed his hand on your life, there's no stopping. Yes, we're going to go through things, and we're going to hear negative things, but
Mhm.
I refuse to allow anything to stop me from going where God has called me to go. Mm-mm.
I agree.
Come on now. Come on now. And it's so interesting, because with alopecia, it feels like you're hiding. It feels like a
Woo.
state of hiding all the time. Like it's not a free, when you're trying to put on hats and wigs, and it's like you're hiding. And I want to bring on Staci for this conversation. Let me introduce her, and then I'm trying to see what's going on with this connection, because this is an important conversation for us to have. All right, Staci is she goes by she's part of, well, created, I should say, the Alopecia Queen movement. It was founded in January of 2020 by Staci L. Halton. The Alopecia Queen movement is a community that offers support to women who have been educate, bring awareness, and encourage women to embrace their journey of alopecia. She said, we do this by hosting weekly meetings on our social media platforms, morning prayer calls, which I love, and with mentoring through our Baldy Buddy mentorship program. The vision is to make alopecia a household name. We believe by doing this, we open the door for so many other women who may be suffering in silence to reach out for help and support. We want them to be assured that they are not alone. The alopecia journey is not for the weak. Hello, somebody. The Alopecia Queen movement believes that we are stronger together, and nothing compared to the strength and courage of a familiar face and of a woman who has been through similar hair loss struggles. The Alopecia Queen movement, where every step is a win. Yes, Staci. Hi, Queens. How y'all doing tonight?
Hello, how are you?
Good. I'm loving this conversation, and I'm so glad to be here. Thank you again, Kendéll, for the invite. It's so wonderful to be around other. I'm excited for this conversation. I'm ready. Yes, you are, and I am ready for you to come. I'm trying to just. I'm not sure what's going on. Okay, yeah, y'all might hear my son on something to try to fix that. It's showing full. My apologies to you, because this is an important conversation. Tell me, Staci, why you said yes. Well, this is our month. September is our month of awareness. And this is my 4th year of celebrating being bold, bald, and free. And I take it a privilege and an honor to just share in my personal journey, but to also just be amongst other alopecians to talk about this important diagnosis and just to bring more awareness to it. So I couldn't pass it up. This is a really good opportunity, and the more we talk about it, like I said, we want to make it a household name, meaning we want to make it, be somewhat normal to hear the word alopecia. And then just to be able to somewhat normal hear the word is the most important thing. Yes, and I think that is so important because I never heard alopecian. I've never heard that. And when you said alopecian queen, I'd never heard that. Yeah, I think what that does, it makes it all, it gives us a sense of pride to be able to call ourselves an alopecian. It brings us all together, the women, the men, the children. It brings us under one umbrella of that. Yes. And it's a powerful statement to be called that. And it's important for us to keep those words out there to make it more common and more public. I mean, hair loss, really, alopecia is the medical term for hair loss. And so when we think about it like that, there's a lot of people with alopecia. They just don't know the medical term for it. Yes, there's many diagnoses of it. But I think if we just really use the medical term and make it, again, not a stigma, but make it something that is worth investigating, is worth learning about. I believe more people would adhere to that and put that label on themselves and be proud about it. I know we're having some technical difficulties, but it is good to meet you, Sandey. Hello.
Thank you. I'll be on your live. I mean, on your
yes, Clubhouse, Sandey.
Yes.
Faithfully on Clubhouse. B, you have to join us, Clubhouse. If you don't have the app, it is a free social media app, an audio app, and we enjoy coming together, the other applications, just to talk about our journey. That's part of what the movement is about, is just being forward motion with it, even with our own journeys. Some of us are just still have those roller coaster rides. You know how it is. One day you wake up, you're like, "Ooh, I'm ready."
Yes.
Other day you're just like, "No, I don't want to deal with it."
Yes.
We all have those. Sometimes that day can be in one moment.
Yes.
So yeah, it's good to have that those armor with you. Women to support you. So
I agree.
There she is. Sorry, thank you, ladies, for holding it down. I'm not sure what's going on. Oh, this is not what we do over here. That's okay. We ride with you. This conversation. I know you back. I appreciate that. But you were talking about Clubhouse. How important is it for you to speak to other women men and children, you talked about that, that have alopecia. How important for you to make sure the community is strong?
Wow, yeah. I mean, because I think we're stronger in numbers as well, but I think what keeps us the strength there is that we remain consistent. You know what I mean? The more we meet together, the
Yeah.
more encouraged we all are. I notice like it could be 5 of us in that room, and sometimes it's up to 35. But what matters most is that I'm going to be on there and I know I'm going to see someone who looks like me, who has gone through a similar thing.
Yeah.
And I could be having a bad day,
Yeah.
but there's something like, conversing and sharing with someone who knows what it means to, like I was just sharing, to wake up and you
Yeah.
just have a real big, strong queen moment. You put on your big girl earrings and you pop on your lipstick.
Yeah.
And you're on your way as if you had on 6-inch stiletto heels.
Yeah.
And then there's some days where you just literally roll out
Yeah.
the bed. Don't want to look in the mirror. You don't want to be bothered with anybody. But that's what the journey is about. And there's strength when you can say those things freely and no one is looking at you like it's just hair. No, it's not just hair. It's beyond that. It's as
Yeah.
if you lost an appendage.
Let's talk about.
Yeah.
Woo. And I talked about that because I talked earlier saying that at least I didn't, and I want to talk because I talked about at least when I think about it, and I say it is hair over the scheme of things, meaning it's not your appendages, it's not your arms, it's not your legs, it's not all of that. But that I want to clear that up. That doesn't mean that it hurt the same.
Correct.
We can look in the mirror and say, it's just hair. It's not that easy. It's not that easy, especially if you've had hair and then you don't. And then it really is, even though it is hair. And some people are like, well, it's only hair. I cut mine all the time. Yes, if you made the choice to cut it, if you made the choice to go bald, it's your choice, not because you had to, because you didn't want to have patches or because you didn't want to experience hair loss. It's totally different when you have the choice. With anything, if you have the choice, it's easy. But if you do not have the choice, then it's very difficult on the mind, psyche, the emotions, the fear.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, because when we talk about choice, because there's a lot of women, even within the alopecia queen movement, who have chosen to be bald too. So we actually did a segment where there were women who were bald by choice and women that obviously did not have a choice. But what I've come to realize, excuse me, that's my son. What I've come to realize is even for myself, I have moved from the emotional pain of the loss of it to, even though I'm an alopecian and I did not choose this, it chose me. Now I choose to be bald. And the reason why I say that is because I do go through growth spurts. And I think B was speaking about that, where I will go through a cycle where my hair will grow and then it will reach a certain limit and then it will fall off, or the scabs will have it, fall off. I need you to not do that. Okay. And so I have a choice during that period. Do I let it grow and push through the pain of it all? Or do I cut it and start from scratch and just be who I am, who I've chosen to be? So I have grown to that part where now I have chosen, because this is who I am. This is where I feel more stronger and more strengthened at. It doesn't happen overnight. It is a process, but now I can truly say I've chosen this, and I've accepted it. And I believe that's the reason why I'm so passionate about advocacy, because of that. So I'm grateful for the journey. I'm grateful for the ups and downs of it. But at the end of the day, this is who God made me. And I've accepted the way He's chosen for me to live out my purpose. Because even if we think about, even for someone who is an amputee, they're not, I mean, even if it comes down to where they have to make a choice, we have to either cut your arm or leg off or run the risk of your entire body being infected by whatever said cases. They still have to come to a choice at some point. This is not doing me any good. And as hard as it might be, that what's on the other side of choosing is more than I could ever imagine. You
So
know what I mean?
amazing.
Yeah, it's such a oxymoronic thing to say. I'm
Exactly.
choosing to cut my hair so that I can grow into the
Mhm.
purpose that was already inside of me. That's what I found, you know. And I said 4 years. I felt like this fourth year is like my graduation year. I'm a senior in this now. My mission is to continue to help women walk through the process because it is one. Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
it is.
Yes.
It's a lot of work as well. You hit on a lot of key points. It is a lot of work, and it's knowing your worth and knowing, first of all, who you are and whose you are. Um,
Exactly.
I always, before I decided to shave my head with the help of God, I was worried about what people would think, how people would perceive me, how people would treat me, and it didn't matter because I am who I am. I am who God say I am, with hair or without hair, with an arm or without a arm. Whatever that you lose or gain, you still that same person. I'm still going to be as creative as I've been, but sometimes you have to take a longer route, and that's fine because I've taken this longer route to shave my head. 20 something years it took. And look at the freedom that I have in 1 year. It's only been a little over a year for me. And look at the freedom that I have. I wish I had been did it, but just worrying about what people would say and think. And sometimes that take us on a longer road or journey than we actually have to go on.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. What made you say, you know what? Enough is enough. I'm tired of the wigs, I'm tired of the hair, I'm tired of the this. I just want to be free. Like, what was that point where you realized, you know what? Enough is enough.
I
For
think for
me,
me, I'm sorry.
oh, I'm sorry. For me, it was I had traveled to Atlanta to get this particular type of blonde hair that I wanted. And I was gonna put it in my head, and I looked in the mirror and I looked like a clown because I had hair around the sides, but nothing up here, nothing at all. And I started to cry. I mean, I was really crying, and God was like, "It's time." And I'm like, "Time for what?" He said to shave your head. And I can't even tell you where I got the razor from. I instantly got a razor and started shaving my head. Every stroke that I did, it was like weights just fell off me. It just fell off me. It wasn't nothing that I had planned. It was just a decision, a quick decision. And I'm so grateful that I did do it, and I had God there to comfort me because if I was there by myself, although God, He's not a body by me, but He's still connected to me, I don't think I could have done it. But because God talked to me and loved me and held me through every stroke, it made the process easy, and it made me not want to go back
My,
from where I came from.
Mhm.
So that was my journey.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
Um,
Wow. My mom said you are all beautiful women. There are women with hair who shave it off for style. She
Mhm.
said, but we are all beautiful women. I remember my mom saying, "What's the India Ari song?" And I said, "I am not." My hair said, "What are the words?" And I started saying it. She said, "Well, keep saying that."
Tell your mom we
Because
said
it really
thank
is
you.
the soul that lives within, right? And it
Yes.
really is. And it's so sweet for her to have said that and for people to say that, but it feels so different on the inside. You know those things logically, but it still does something to your spirit in your mind.
Mhm.
And when you
Mhm.
said God was like, take it off right now, that's so powerful because it is something when you're trying to fix it, cover it, comb over, hide it. And I'm sure, what is that freedom like now, Sandey? What is that freedom? And all you ladies who decided to say, you know what? Because I know B, you said you still wear wigs sometimes, and but you shaved yours, you boldly shown it, everybody on social media where I saw you ladies, and I'm like, wow, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet to shave it bald. If I didn't have certain spaces, I would cut it very, very, very low. I would do that. But with alopecia, people don't understand. You have places you guys talk, so then you don't want to look crazy. There was some patches, so all of you are so beautifully shave it off.
Mm-hmm.
What was your journey like, just shaving it all off? And how was that first experience walking outside with a bald head?
Are you speaking to me? Okay. Well, I chose to shave it off in year 2020. We're going through the pandemic, and it was a rough year. Everyone knows. Everyone probably have experienced some kind of trial, or you knew someone that may have died or something during the pandemic. And I am sitting here thinking and praying over everything, not knowing where my life is heading at this point, because 2020 was just crazy. And I'm like, why am I still doing this? My issues are minimum compared to many others, and I felt that God told me that this is your purpose, and this is your calling, and you should walk in it. Start advocating to the people. There's many, many, many men and women and children that are not as bold and confident as you are, and you are set to build them up and help them and inspire them. So that's what I've been doing since 2020. And you're always in your head. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to walk outside and everyone's going to stare at me. I met someone for brunch, and I was completely bald the first day. And no one looked at me. No one cared. I'm like, why did not look at me? No one cared at all. So I was like always in my head about everything, but I feel so empowered about all the people that always inbox me, that I help, and the children and everyone. It seems to be such I want to say a trend, but everyone is so bold now to have alopecia or to be bald and to walk it. And I feel so empowered to be one of those.
Yeah, I think it has become a trend. I think definitely after Wakanda.
Yes.
A lot of us were looking at the big screen, proud to see these Black women, bold, bald, and free. Did it, the show or for the movie rather, to represent their tribe. But then I did that personally. I did take that as, oh, I'm a warrior of alopecia, and it added another level of boldness and confidence to me, who walk in this town. I for me, it was in 2019, and I was 3 months turning 40. 2019, and I was kind of like, was like a year for me. You go through there's some changes when you reach a big milestone, like 40. And so I just began to reflect on how long I've been dealing with since I was 17. And so I'm reaching 40, and I'm like, I'm really just sick and tired of it. Like I felt like I've worn all the wigs that I could possibly wear. And it was becoming just a nuisance after a while.
Yeah.
Plan it. I just literally just like, it just so happened to be I was across the street from a hair store. So I literally just walked across the street and just said, give me 2 of whatever you got there to cut this thing off. So back home, and in dramatic form, I took a before picture and just began to shave it off. And I took an after picture, kind of looked at myself because, as you ladies know, it's like you look different. You literally see yourself for the first time when you don't have the attachment of the hair that is barely there anyway. But take it off and you're looking at yourself and you're just like, it really took, I really had to be like almost hold my chest and just like, wow, because this is who God sees. He doesn't see anything else but just this, and I was just like stunned. And I just took that moment in and I earmarked that. And it just so happened to be 9/11. And I'm like, so for me, it's like,
wow.
The Twin Towers went down, so the hair went down too,
Oh, wow.
So that is like 9/11 is a huge, it means something different to me now. And then of course, by it being in the month of Alopecia Awareness Month. So it just gives me an added boost of encouragement on those days where I'm like, oh, like, but remember what you did and remember who God says you are. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, and he made you beautiful like this. Yes. And so I have done big chops before. But this time I took the step and left my house, and I'll never forget the first place I went to, because I'm a Starbucks junkie. So I'm like, I'm going to go to Starbucks, and I didn't quite make it into the store because I was still kind of like, but I went to the drive-thru, and I'll never forget, I found these cool little glasses. I'm like, I had my little lipstick on, some earrings on, and I ordered my drink, and I was just like, what am I going to do when I get my beverage? I had this all in my head, like you were saying, B, just in your head,
Yes.
And this woman just hands me my, mocha latte. It was just like, hey, how are you? I'm like, hi. And I'm like, she's going to say anything? And she's like, nothing. She's like, okay, how are you going to pay for this? And I'm like, oh,
but that's so true. That's so true.
Yeah.
Because it's happening, I don't want to say happening to you, it's happening through you, right? So you only are feeling your feelings and your emotions and what that feels like, and it looks different to you because it is you. But the outside is seeing what you're showing. If you go in confidently, or if you're, unbothered, then they're going to be unbothered. But it's something in you because you knew the change. You knew what was happening. You knew that this was the first day that you were stepping out, as a bald queen. You knew that. But you're absolutely right. Sometimes it's within us. My mom is saying, you are not your hair. She's saying that, think about my stepfather who lost both of his legs. And I get that sentiment, because you can walk around bald and still be able to walk around. You know what I mean? So I understand that. And I understand what the people who may not be experiencing alopecia, I can understand how they're thinking, right? But to us, it feels totally different. When you look in the mirror and you see hair that was there, no longer there, whether it's completely bald, patchy, whatever it is, or even if you look in the mirror, Sandey, and you have a wig on, sometimes that doesn't look like, when I started, it doesn't. Sometimes when you try different things, you be like, now that ain't me. Now that ain't me. And even when I had permed hair, I had locks for 13 years, I had natural hair, I still wore head wraps during those times. So it wasn't like a necessity. So even when I wear a head wrap now, that still feels like me. But if I do something different, I'm like, it's cute, but it don't feel like me. Has anyone felt that way?
Well, I wear head wraps only to the school because it's so cold. But far as wigs, I don't wear wigs. I don't do any of that anymore. I just want it to be me.
Yeah.
And I did that before, and I just don't want to do it again. Nothing against no one who do it, but it's just not for me. Because I tried on one for a fashion show because I had to have it on. It was too big. It just did not look right on me. And I don't wear wigs for years, but this particular time, it did not look right. So, no,
So what does that mean when you say it's not me?
it's not
What does
me.
that mean to you?
I wasn't being me when I wore the wigs because I was trying to portray someone that I was not. I was trying to
Mm,
portray someone that had a hair full of hair, and I did not.
mm,
So for me to wear a wig, I'm taking myself backwards, and I
Mhm.
don't want to go there.
yeah. And you talked about earlier before we started the show, you talked about a young lady in your school. Can you talk about that experience, Sandy? Because I thought that
I,
that was key. As we spoke to B, and she said she started losing her hair and dealing with alopecia at the age of 11. And then you were talking about a student in the school who is experiencing alopecia.
yeah, Coda is 5. She doesn't go to my school, but we have an event like Alopecia Month. Her mom, she brings her, and so I talked to the students like the whole month about Coda. I even gave them a picture of Coda, and so when she came there today, they showed Coda so much of love that I couldn't believe the same students that talked about me and laughed at me, now that I told them my journey, they looked at it totally different. They was waving at her, they was yelling her name, they made her feel so comfortable that I was comfortable because I was kind of scared in the beginning. I'm like, I don't know what these kids gonna do. But because I had talked to them like all this month and explained to them what alopecia was and Coda did not have hair, they embraced that baby so well that she really enjoys herself. And to look at her mom face, it just blew me away
To
because she
see
don't
them
have kids,
embrace her.
ma'am.
Yeah, yeah. To see them embrace her. That is a beautiful, beautiful thing, especially as a child, because oftentimes we think about the adults who are experiencing and know how to deal with emotions and knowing how to deal, but be what is it like as a child? And then we're going to talk about this queendom and wrap this up. And again, if you're watching, I apologize. I'm not sure what was going on with the connection, but I put up another one. I'm not sure what it looks like. I'm not even looking at that. I'm looking at them. So I apologize, but just get what we're talking about, and hopefully you're able to catch what we're talking about. But as a child, B, what is the difference that you've seen starting with alopecia and then moving through your life and then finally becoming to a point where you're free to wear a head wrap, wear a wig, wear it bald? Tell me what that freedom looks like and feels like.
Well, it is amazing. It is amazing. And I just wish and hope that I was as free as I am now then. At the age of 11, when I started losing hair, um, I was traumatized. I was scared, nervous, hurt, but I was able to cover it up. Um, Kids are cruel. So I didn't
Yeah,
want anyone to know. I felt like I was always hiding behind
yeah,
braids. I would wear braids and it would come out from the roots.
yeah,
It would just fall out. And that would be embarrassing. Um, and when it fall out, it will leave like a big plug of a bald spot in the middle. So I experienced lots of hurt and turmoil as a child going through it, but I'm so happy and proud that I'm bold in it now.
yeah. Yeah, I love it.
Thank
Staci L. Halton, I think it's so commendable that you created a space and a movement. You talked about Clubhouse and you talked about just having that place. How many women have come to you and thanked you, whether it be social media, whether it be a phone call, an inbox, a message, and what does that feel like?
Wow, that's really a good question because I now stop counting because I'm gonna be
Wow.
honest with you. It's more of where they're from. I'm based in Florida. I'm in Orlando, but I recently spoke to a woman from Mexico, or they say Mexico,
Mm,
and
mm,
she found us on Facebook, and when I gave her my phone number, and we've had conversations and things like that, and just to be able to be a support to her, because what she had shared with me was that in her country, she can't find a support group. That she really feels like she's alone because she can't see anybody that looks like her remotely or have a group in her country. And I began to think about how lonely that might be. But then I had to say, wow, I'm grateful that she was led to our group. So that way she has a connection. And it's grown since just our little conversations that we've had. She's on Clubhouse with us and things like that. So it does my heart well, because I said the reason why I started the Alopecia Queen movement was because I wanted to be that support that was not there for me. You know, I wanted, of course, there are a lot of groups. You know, I'm in a whole bunch of groups, including the one that, you know, that I've created, and that's great, and I love that. But there's something about the intimacy that's created with the Alopecia Queen movement that it comes from my heart, because again, I'm pouring into it what I wanted. So that whole sisterhood, that whole, you know, I'm really going to hold your hand, meaning girls have called me, women have called me on a FaceTime and say, listen, I'm about to go for the first time out my house bar. Can you just be on the phone with me? I'm like, girl, yes, we're going to do this together. You know, I've had women call me, I'm going to my first interview without my hair. Can you help? You know, whatever you need, pep talk, I'm there. And again, those are things that I did not have, but now I can pour into. So I'm just grateful for the opportunity to serve.
I think that's phenomenal, because 1/3 of every woman, when you're talking about even the Black community, experiences alopecia. You know, the number is high, and it's growing, because as Black women, we are under a lot of stress. And then you talk about some hairstyles, you talk about being hereditary, you talk about autoimmune diseases, and we can go on and on and on with alopecia. And our numbers for all of them are higher than anyone. So, you know, the question is always asked, well, why do Black women experience alopecia more than others? Those are some of the reasons. You know, I really want you guys out there watching, if you're not experiencing alopecia, to really just take a moment to just Google, right? Take a moment to speak to a trichologist. Take a moment to speak to a hair loss specialist and really ask them, like, what are you seeing? And then before judging someone who may have a jacked up wig on or may not know how to tie a head wrap just so, you could be doing more damage by talking about the person's wig or why are they doing this or that, than to be empathetic and to understand, even if you don't even know what's going on. Because you never know, just like you never know what's behind a woman's smile, you never know what's behind the hat, the head wrap, the bad wig, the bad weave, whatever it is. Now, some people might just have it on their own. They can't get it right. They can't find nobody to do it right. But sometimes it could be a cover up. And when I say cover up, it's because someone's not ready or bold enough to walk out bald. What would you guys, you ladies, you queens, tell someone who is just on the onset of alopecia?
Well, you have to be yourself. A lot of mistakes that people make is doing what someone else wants them to do. Their husband or wife or whoever don't want them to be bald, so they don't do what they want to do. But if you listen to yourself, listen to what's within you, then you will make that great choice, because not everybody wants to be bald. And that's understandable. That's very understandable. But make the choice within yourself, because if you shave your head for someone else, it's not gonna last. Or if you do something for someone else, it's not gonna last. You still gonna feel some type of way. So you still taking your body to more stress. So do what you need to do for you.
I love that, because it almost is counterproductive, because if you are getting your hair to grow back or it's growing back, but you're stressed because you don't have hair or because it's falling out, then that's not conducive to hair growth.
Right.
And we haven't even, maybe we have to do a part 2 another time, but we haven't even gotten into diet or anything.
Ooh, that's right.
I see you shaking your head, B, and Staci, you want to talk about that quickly?
Personally, I have alopecia areata, which does affect the autoimmune system. And me personally, I've had to change a lot of my food intake. And being a certified personal trainer for years, and changing my diet was something that I was accustomed to doing. But as I've gotten older, hormones are different, things are changing. And I've noticed that even the alopecia cycles that I've go through have changed as well. And so, you have to take care of your body. You have to get rest. You have to get sleep. So that all contributes to it. And so it's important for us, especially African American women, to be more proactive when it comes to our health, especially what we put in our bodies.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so important. B, did you want to add to that, please?
Just proper rest and blood circulation, and just taking care of your body, exercising, and all of that plays into a part to have just being healthy, whether you have an autoimmune disease or anything, just being healthy and staying healthy.
I love that. And last, Sandey, I want you to speak to that woman, that Black woman, because it's about remixing the narrative. That's what this channel is about, in the Black community. So that Black woman, Sandey, that sees you and you're bald, how do you, if she wants to start a conversation with you on that, and she doesn't come from a good place, how do you handle that? Because B just said that someone just told her, oh, well, can you bring the man in who's on the photo? Some people just don't know what to say. How would you handle a situation like that if somebody came to you and, and I know and I would like to think that we're changing, but B just said it happened last week.
Yes.
Yes. Well, the first thing I would tell her is not to stare. That's why I'm so grateful that God gave me the organization, Don't Stare, Just Ask. Just come up to me and ask a question. It'll break the ice easier than me getting resentful or feeling some type of way because you're staring, you don't know how to come. But just come to me and let's have a conversation. Woman to woman, whatever you want to know, ask me and I will tell you. Because I don't have nothing to hide. Because anything that the devil know, everybody else know.
Ooh,
truthful person. If you ask me something, I'm going to tell you because I have opened up that door. When I said my group is called Don't Stare, Just Ask. So
I love that.
I'm telling you to ask me the question, so I have to answer you, regardless of if it hurt, if it make me feel as small as an ant. I have to answer you.
Yeah, I love that, and I'm going to go around as we conclude. Sandey, I already know why, but why did you start Don't Stare, Just Ask? And tell me what you're working on now, because you have a special announcement. So yes, I'm so excited. It's an exclusive, so I am thrilled. But how can they get merch? Don't Stare, Just Ask.
Yes.
And I have shirts too, but it's not about me, it's about you. Tell the people how they can get your shirt and tell us the news.
Don't Stare, Just Ask was given to me by God because it was other organizations that was not telling the truth. So I wanted to be real. I wanted to give people a chance to tell their truth. Whatever your truth is, that's what I want you to be able to tell. And God just gave me the group, and I'm so grateful because I could have never thought of Don't Stare, Just Ask. I could have never. But when God gives you something, you have to embrace it and you have to work it, and that's what I did. So, ladies, my good news, drum roll, please. I have a book that will be you can pre-order starting tomorrow. It's called Crown. And it's called Battling Heartbreak While Dealing with Alopecia. And I'm so excited that God is allowing me to release my journey.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Because it is a heartbreak. It is a heartbreak. I don't care what people say. I don't care about the toughest. I'm very tough. I've been through some things. I know how to handle certain things, but that'll make you fall to your knees when it first starts happening. I'm telling you, it's a heartbreak. It is a heartbreak. If you know, you know. If you don't know, we're here to tell you. Because it's something. And I say it especially if you've had hair, especially if you wore your hair a certain way, or if you've done certain things, and then, or and with black people and women, sometimes you're known for your hair.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I had locks for 13 years. The
I
woman with
had
the red
locks
locks.
too. I had locks
See?
too. Yeah.
And you're referred to by your hair. If you
Yes.
have a puff, that one with the afro puff, the one with the afro, think about Tabitha Brown, the one with the
Yeah.
afro. That's
Yeah.
how we describe each other. The one with the Bantu knots, the one. That's what we do. So when you no longer have that identifier,
That's right.
and that's what you were, it is a heartbreak.
It was a heartbreak for me because not only was I battling hair loss, I lost my mother, my husband, and my son, my father, my brother, and my nephew. Within this whole time, I'm battling alopecia. I'm just losing people, so it made the stress even worse. Every time I
Yes.
thought I can breathe, somebody else was leaving my life. So it
Yes.
made it hard. That's why I had to go to a psychiatrist. I had to go. It
Yeah.
wasn't a choice. I had to go and do what I needed to do for my body.
Yes.
Some people don't like talking about a psychiatrist, but I had to go. It
Yeah.
saved my life.
Your emotional health is tremendously important.
Yes.
I had fibroids. My father died. I had lost a job that I had for 13 years. I got cancer. I had a not so good relationship, going through divorce. It was so many different things in a 3-year span.
Wow.
And already suffering the stress, and then different parts of my hair that didn't come out before were coming out. And then the last 3 months, it's been a lot too. So when you think about, like you said, it's almost like you stay away from stress, but these stressors are coming. So the only thing I know how to do is call on God and give it to Him. I'm staying in a child's place.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
giving everything to Him, and I'm not dealing with it because it's not my business. Because I can't do nothing about none of it, but He can.
Yes. My God.
So we have to learn, Black people, Black women, to release that stress, because it's not doing our bodies any good. Not just alopecia, the hearts, the blood pressure, the diabetes that suffer from, all the different things that plague us as Black women more than other, nationalities and races of women. So we have to understand that stress, a lot of women are dealing with stress and not even knowing it. I could say right now, my body don't feel like stress. I don't feel stress, but you don't know what your body is doing internally. So it's important to get that stress under control and checked, because I want you to live healthy. I want you to live free. And I want you to be able to, as women, to be able to say if you're not okay. See, I've been a life coach for 20 plus years. See a life coach, a counselor, a therapist, a psychologist. Talk to someone. Staci is telling you about the support group for alopecia. You don't have to deal with any of it alone.
That's right. You are not alone. That's the misconception, is that a lot of women are still even suffering in silence as we speak. And I just want to say to you, you are not alone. There are women that you may not even know by name or face, but all you have to do is reach out to a support group, and they're going to be there to support you in whatever way possible. So yeah, you're not alone.
100%. Thank you. Can you tell them, Staci, about how they can connect with you, with your organization, and if you have anything going on right now that you want to shout out or promote?
Well, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram, Alopecia Queen Movement.
That's where I found you.
Yeah. Yes. And like I said before, on Clubhouse, we meet every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. And it's basically a support group. It feels as if you're in someone's living room talking about alopecia. We have different topics. And next month, we're going to be talking about awareness of domestic violence awareness, as well as breast cancer awareness, kind of balancing the two in that month of October. And just to show our united front with both of those awareness issues. And also, I have a podcast. Either you can listen to it on Apple Podcasts, or Spotify has, their outlet as well. And it's the Alopecia Queen podcast. So yeah, that's it.
My mother said I can have a new look and be called the bald one. She's silly. All right, D. My mom is all through the comments.
I love it.
Because
so
let me tell you, I have to say this real quick. I have not shown the only ones that have seen are my children, my daughters, my grown daughters. My mom has not seen it because she can't handle it right now. But my mom wants to see it so bad. My mom thinks she's a dermatologist. She's like, I can tell you what's happening. I was like, Mom, you did not go to medical school. But I think she wants to see it so badly. And I have not shown her. I'm not ready yet, because as a mom, I know her. She'll be like, oh, and then I have to get fully 100% comfortable with myself with it first, because I'm very comfortable with myself in other areas, but that's still a tender spot for me. So I have to be ready to handle whatever is said and not be able to have that emotional break. I don't think that I would, but I don't know if someone other than, that's in my head. I'm not ready for that yet. You ladies understand what I'm saying?
You have to go at your own pace. I will say that. And the experience will always be your experience, even though maybe people in our nuclear family and extended family, they're going to have their own feelings towards it. And again, let them have that. I'm speaking personally because my mom, I knew she was having a hair loss issue, and that's a hereditary thing, but I never saw her completely bald until we had a meet and greet in Dallas with the Alopecia Queen movement. We stayed together, and she literally, just in front of me, showed me her bald head for the first time. And I didn't make a big deal out of it, but it was like that. And I really do believe that part of me showing who I was allowed her to that comfortable. So you never know. There's strength in being vulnerable, even though we're stronger when we are at our weakest, to be honest. Because at that point we're taking off the armor and we're letting it go, that heavy weight. So go at your own pace, but know that mom is gonna be mom no matter what.
Because I think I'm fine. I think she would be the emotional one. I might be sitting there. She might be the one. And I might be like, it's hair. But B, I thank you so much for being part of this panel. Is there anything, first tell the people how they can get in touch with you. And is there anything that you would like to share or promote?
I just thank you guys so much for having me. I'm going to go follow the Alopecia Queen movement. I'm going to get the book. I'm going to support. I'm going to stay involved and connected. You guys can follow me on Cute Bald Chick on Instagram. I administrate a support group on Facebook. It's the Houston, Texas Alopecia support group. So come out and follow us and stay connected.
I love that. So you're in Florida. You said you're in, where are you, Sandey?
In Alabama and Birmingham.
And then you're in Texas, you said?
Yes.
Wow. And I'm in Maryland.
Oh.
So people out there, we're all over the place. We're all over the place. But if you see a bald woman or you see someone, walk up and have a conversation like Sandey said. I think it's great to keep dialogue open. And some might say, well, why do a show like this if you're not, and I think it's so important to do a show like this to openly discuss this, because there's so many people out there hiding or pretending, or they don't even want to. So many people have come to me privately and said, I have alopecia. I'm not even talking about going as far as showing your head.
Yeah.
Some people cannot even say it publicly in front of anybody. I've been saying it for years, And I thank God for that. But so many people can't even say the word. So many people have reached out to me privately saying, I have alopecia. I'm not even ready to speak the words.
Yeah.
So people don't understand. And I talked about Jada Pinkett Smith earlier, and she's had a head full of hair all her life. No matter what you think about Jada and no matter what, none of that stuff, that has nothing to do with her journey with alopecia. And people seeing her growing hair again and daring to say she didn't have alopecia. See, her hair is growing back. B talked in the beginning of the show saying her hair was coming back and forth, falling out. Everybody's journey with alopecia is not the same.
Yes.
And don't judge another woman's walk with anything, alopecia or otherwise. You have to allow someone to walk their journey. And if you're not going to support them in their journey, then zip it. That's how I feel. Zip it, because you don't know the damage you're doing when someone goes home and the doors are closed just because you see them here or seeing them do. You don't know what kind of emotional journey they're going through. Last question. What brings you joy? We're not going to play the game because I respect your time. We went over a little bit. What brings you joy, B?
God, my faith in God, staying connected with Him and building a relationship with Him. Without Him, I will not have joy.
Amen.
I can't make it without Him.
Amen. Amen. Sandey, what brings you joy?
I gotta take that, God especially, but spending time with my children and my grandchildren and living my truth.
Staci, what brings you joy?
The love of the Lord brings me joy because it's a continual thing. It's nothing like it. The joy of the Lord is our strength. And so when I think about the fact that my joy is giving it, the joy of Him gives me strength. So it's like, what can I do to continue to make God have joy so that I can have the strength that I need to continue to walk out my purpose? My children, as well as what brings me joy, music.
Yeah, I love that. All right, very last question. What have you done for yourself lately?
For me, I would say this recent trip that I did with the women of the Alopecia Queen movement, even though it was a group collaborative, it was a time for me to step away from my normal journey and my normal everyday work life and being a mom of two. So that was a good time for me to just speak and be about the advocacy outside of my normal circle of influence and meet wonderful women in that. And it also encouraged me to keep going, move outside, and just be able to meet wonderful women on our walk of alopecia.
I love that. Sandey, and then we'll end with B.
I'll be going to Atlanta this weekend for BaldyCon to meet up with a lot of baldies with alopecia. So that's one thing I'm doing for myself.
What? I never even heard of BaldyCon. I guess you ladies have because you're shaking your head.
Yeah.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah. Really? This the second year.
Wow. I have to go down there with my media pass next year, and I have to go there.
You have to.
Wow. If someone can send me information on that, I would greatly appreciate that.
Before you go there, stop in Orlando for ours because we have one next year.
Oh, send me that. I will come. I will cover that. Send me that.
Yes.
I'm so excited. And I also do freelance for Sheen Magazine. So definitely. Oh, yes.
Well, since you're doing all that traveling, come to Alabama for my third alopecia awareness walk.
Oh, you guys got to send me all of this. This is great. This is great. All right, B, what have you done for yourself lately?
I am participating in the alopecia walk this weekend, this Saturday. I have never done it, and I am like totally elated and looking forward to it.
Wow, we all must get together in a central location for one of these events. I would love to meet you ladies in person. You have no idea. I do shows all the time. Like I said, interview people that you've never seen before, that that you've seen and grew up with, and people that all of these different shows, and the people that I come across. But this is a very a very personal show for me. And I'm so glad that you all said yes. And this is it's very emotional, you know, when you're dealing with, you know, everything else that the world has, you know. That's why it's so important when you said that God brings you joy. I mean, women after my own heart, even for that reason. And every time I do any show, my goal, and this was my promise to God, I don't care what kind of show it is, I'm going to make sure that your name is mentioned and that you get the glory for whatever show. I've said that. And to hear you all say, God, Lord, look, I can't even tell you. I got more than I even asked for. So I love it. But thank you, ladies. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Does anybody have anything to say before we conclude?
Just thank you for allowing us to come here and tell us the truth.
Thanks. Absolutely. Thank you guys so much.
Wonderful.
It was my honor and pleasure, and we're definitely going to meet soon. But everybody, I thank you so much for taking the time to watch Kendéll Lenice Live. This is the panel series. You guys know it's important for me to help remix the Black community, whether I have a panel of therapists, doctors, entrepreneurs, whatever I have. You guys know, if you subscribe to my channel, the type of panels I have. It's so important for me to help and do my part in our community in remixing our narrative. So I thank you, everybody, for watching. Remember, you are a star. Don't allow anyone to dim your shine. Until next time, God bless. Peace. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.